It is 6:03, and we do have a quorum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. So pursuant to chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28th, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately assess the proceedings to the best of our technical abilities, and despite our best efforts due to lack of technical infrastructure, a transcript or other comprehensive recording of the proceedings will be available as soon as possible after the meeting. So you call this meeting to order. Let me share my screen so we can all look at the same thing. Can you guys see my Excel now?
Yes.
Um,
Can you make that bigger?
Yep. Yeah.
Old eyes.
All right. Is that any better?
It's better. Can you go any further? Like a full screen?
That's as far as it's letting me. So I think Zoom is getting sort of cutting it off.
Sure.
Let me see if I can. Hey, how's it going, pal? Hide that. And let me. Hide these. Let me do this. Yeah. Is that any better?
That's good.
Right. So this is what we're gonna be looking at tonight. So, Mary was able to take the schedule I sort of emailed out. Emailed out to everyone earlier in the week. And the yellow highlights here are the draft of the town manager's recommendations.
Is the column called budgeted FY 20?
No, it's highlighted, it's in column AB. They dropped it in the fiscal advisory priority.
That's what they're saying.
Yes,
So this is really the town manager.
yes, yes, yeah.
That helps a lot.
Yes. So, I guess just one note before we get started. I think free cash was certified. I don't know if it was today or yesterday or relatively close to either today or yesterday. And Mary is still, I think, working on the breakdown of it, on what's going to get allocated to capital. So we still don't know what the sort of budget is. I would say the things that are sort of cut off from the screen right now, that are the big ticket items, which are the fire engine and the school feasibility study. They are recommending either debt financing and or a separate article, which is not surprising at all.
I heard, because if we did that, we'd be done. Okay.
It would be pretty much done. So I'm happy to start wherever the current order of this spreadsheet is based on department number, which puts information systems first, but I'm happy to start the conversation wherever people want to start. I mean, we can start with the feasibility studies and the fire engine if you want to. We can start with the fuel depot, and we can start with computers. I'm happy sort of following the will of the folks, or the committee members, I should say.
Well, where we don't know how much money we actually have, and this is just kind of starting to prioritize, does it just make it easy just to start from the top and talk about pros and cons of the different lines and start to get a feel for how the overall committee feels about a specific budgeted item?
Or if we need follow-up or something like that. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
That works for me too. I've gone through, done my own priority thinking, so I can just contribute my
Yeah,
individual thoughts.
all right, so these first two lines are really the same ask. It's the replacement of the 10 computers. One is an outright buy, the other is a lease. I would say that I had some productive conversations with Mike Woodford over the past couple of weeks. And that 540 number had a lot of it had a large number for sort of anticipating either new roles or what they call break fix computers, backup computers. The industry average is somewhere around 7% to have on hand as a break fix. There are also some computers. I went through the list that Mike provided to us. There were some computers that were relatively new. I think I identified like 12 machines that were purchased within the past 2 years that are either Windows 11 or 11 compatible. That, in my personal opinion, I think we should keep those as the break fix machines and not have a huge stash of break fix machines. And so, that 540 number for an outright buy is probably closer to 475 once you take all of those things out. And it looks like Mary and the town manager are only really looking to replace 50% of it at the moment.
Do you know why they're not thinking of doing the lease? I mean, given our cash flow situation.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I don't know. The only thing I can imagine is it does encumber us for the next years.
Pick up one of those.
Massive sheets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We just started.
Congratulations. Thank you.
We're just starting at the talking about the town computer replacements. And I was just saying, I had some conversations with Mike. That 540 number is probably closer to 475. We were able to sort of whittle it down based on the amount of break fix computers and things like that, and being able to reuse some of the more recent computers that they purchased over the past couple of years. Sorry, Beth, your question was why would we lease?
Why, like, I mean, I know the pluses and minuses of leases,
Yeah,
but, I just, our cash flow situation.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like 250 means we're gonna do exactly what Mike did want to do.
right. Which was have
Which was,
Half
you
different
have this
versions.
one, half later. That was his number one I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I believe, because I was able to go to that meeting.
Yeah, he was really hoping that we could put everyone on the same computer so that, parts and whatnot
Right.
were
They
more
could- they work
interchangeable.
better. It's
Yeah,
easier for them to maintain.
yeah.
So I mean, I guess I just,
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say is it sort of encumbers us for the next 4 years.
Well,
similar to what we're doing with the school Chromebooks.
we're pushing it out.
We're
Kicking it, if Jim were here, he'd say, Beth, we're kicking it down the road,
Yeah.
kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, okay.
I don't know, and I guess maybe Ling, I don't know if you feel differently or have an opinion on, the pros and cons of having the same exact hardware deployed across the town in one fell swoop versus doing, half now and half next year or something like that.
Let's put it this way. I think that, it's always simpler if you're just basing everything off of a single model, right? And, I would say that, if there's an advantageous way for us to do that, then that makes sense. From a maintenance standpoint, from, just being able to support it and so forth. But it's not clear to me that, that's necessarily something that's ultimately going to be that important for the town, quite frankly. I think that there's a number of different users in there. You have same people who are going to be wanting to use certain type of machines for various reasons. So again, I don't think that it's not as simple as that to implement, even if that was a desirable outcome, right? So
Thing I would add on to it too is that it's all the endpoints across town, so it's a lot of shared computers. So like,
Yep.
This TV, like,
Yeah.
Do we really care what the back end of it? Like, no one's.
No, that's fair. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
Yeah, no, it's totally a fair question.
Yep.
I hate asking questions that I think I should have done myself. The age of the computers was spread out over a number of years for the last 10 years or so, 7 or so, like that.
Some of them went back, if I remember correctly, 10, 12 years.
You phase them in terms of the age of those computers, like do a batch for the ones that are 8 or 10 years old.
We certainly could, and I mean, I think there is in my mind, a necessity for those ones that aren't on support anymore.
Yeah.
That we need to
That could be half of them.
deal. It was, if I remember correctly, it was more than half.
Yeah. And some of those machines, I think, are so old that they don't support like the latest operating systems, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so if, those definitely are a priority because like Windows 10 at this point, they're pretty much freezing any further support on it. It's end of life. So
I get
and a lot of these older machines will not support Windows 11, for instance.
I get down to the town's PC average age is 10 years.
Yeah.
Average age.
That's the average. Wow.
Which
Yeah.
the average, and that puts at least half the stuff really old.
Well, from a management viewpoint, isn't it better just to say I've got 100 devices and every year I need to replace, well, 5 years, I need to replace 20 of them? Can we get there from here?
From my perspective, it's one of those things where, this year's endpoints, next year is, Wi-Fi antennas, the next year are switches, the next year are cores. There's always this like technology refresh and, it's.
I don't know, that's, I'm glad I'm not in charge.
Yeah,
They'll use whatever money we approve.
I would think Mike would take, I mean, there's certainly. Yeah, a need there, and I think Mike would take whatever we could give him.
So Alex, where did the 250 come from?
Oh, sorry. So the schedule you're looking at with the highlighted is the town manager's recommendation.
Okay.
Mary dropped this off. She took my schedule and she layered in town managers, this is their draft recommendations.
So A, B,
Yeah.
this is,
Yes, yeah, everything yellow, yeah, in column A, B, in yellow highlight is Marion Rainey's recommendation.
Well, my feeling is that until we get through the safety stuff, I want to put everything at a 2 or a 3. When we get to the ones that I feel are like a safety issue.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of dimensions to that from DPW through school, so.
Yeah, and we're, like I sort of said at the beginning, like we're not gonna vote on anything. This is really just helping us think through and, it's the sort of the initial, it's the opening conversation.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear you beginning, Alex, sorry.
No.
But I think that makes the most sense. We look at everything tonight without really having deep discussions on it.
Yeah.
Then we all can like digest that and
Yeah.
come back with our own thoughts.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And we're rejecting the 127 per year for 5 years.
Well, so it's, so those two are the same request. Yeah, it's whether we wanna, think through buying an outright chunk of them or giving them $100-ish thousand and being sort of committed to that for the next 4 years. Or 5 years.
But it ends up being more, I guess, in some sense.
Yeah, well, so the 127 was based on the 540 number. I assume that number will go down because, I worked with Mike to sort of talk through. Do we really need all the computers he had sort of laid out?
We have insight as to why town management thought 250 was the right number?
I assume it was roughly half.
Right, that's what,
Yeah, I think they were,
half
I
of
think
it.
I think they were trying to figure out how much free cash they were gonna be able to allocate and,
I see.
yeah.
So the bottom line comes up to this working free
Yes,
cash.
yes. Yes,
Okay.
that would be my guess.
Oh, plug.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
All right, so the Snug Harbor project, do we want to just say in the highlights or we just want to go straight down the list?
That goes down the list.
Okay, so the Snug Harbor project, the 3.5 million, if I remember correctly, was we were gonna look into matching grants for that, and it wasn't the entire 3.5, if I have my notes correctly. And so if they're just looking for a matching grant, it probably wouldn't fall in Article 6. Would be its own standalone article.
I think it needs to be done, but I wouldn't put it at number 1 on our
Now,
6. Principally because it's a big enough project that it needs some multi-year thinking about it.
yes,
Because once you do the 3.5 million, you're probably committing to another 40, 50, 60, $100 million out year
yeah,
adventure.
yes.
What we need is a chart for available cash and sea level line.
Yeah. Next project is facilities, but it's the fire station HVAC replacement.
The only thoughts about that is that it's pretty important. I put it down as a 1 without knowing anything about what other people thought. my only critical question was, is it failing? And as I recall, there was something like X number of fans or units out of Y number total were not functioning at all. I don't remember the
I
details.
thought that was at the school. Maybe it was at the fire.
This, I had this one, I'm looking for my notes now, but it is a problem and some of the variance in the price is how they would be laying out the system. So for some reason, I was thinking she was okay with 435 because of how she would do it. So just bear with me because I am looking through my notes to all of you. But it is a critical project. It's definitely critical in her mind. Yeah, just because of the station needing it, and the system kind of is placed outside of the chief's office. Um,
If I remember correctly, they're renting heaters for this year to the tune of like almost 30 grand.
yeah. Hold on, I just found them. Um, Percy Walker. Hold on. Actually, I think what I did is I pulled up last year's. I did.
Yeah, I think there was if I remember, Karen, I'm looking at, I think some of the notes you sent over, it was the higher end was using a train unit
Yes.
and the 430 was using a Daycon unit. There's questions about whether they can use the same ductwork or reuse the ductwork that's already there. There is a design element to this system. Of like 50 grand and 20 grand to sort of cover the units for aesthetics.
Like a fence. Fencing was part of that, right?
But yeah, it sounds like the system is pretty much failing to the tune, where they're renting space heaters, which I can't imagine is the safest or most efficient.
And Alex, am I correct that she was comfortable with the 435?
Yeah, that was, if I remember correctly, it was just using it was gonna use the Daycon system versus a train
Yeah. Yeah.
system.
I know that having spoken to her and how she explained it, I do think that this is a priority and it would be one that I would put into our column.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on the fire station? HVAC? All right, the next is this, replace the roof at, of the water department building, Lake Shore Drive. Looks like the town manager is recommending the full 55.
I did have a question on this. Again, what was the justification for this if they're closing?
Right, this well is getting full. I grew up on Lake Shore Drive. I know this building incredibly well, and I can't believe it cost $55,000 to put a little tiny roof on that little tiny building.
But why do they even keep the building if they're gonna be shutting down?
I mean,
My notes also point out that as an alternative, replacing it with shingles, I don't know what the heck they were gonna use before, would be 25,000. That's my only note on this topic.
And also it was more than just the roof too. Wasn't there also some almost skirting that went around it for safety?
I don't think it has a fence around it at all. It's right,
Yeah, not fencing, but it was skirting actually off the roof.
I don't remember that.
but I mean, it is a well. I know they are shutting it down,
Yeah,
but you still probably have to maintain the building. I mean, that's part of our problem. We don't maintain our building.
um. Yeah, I just had in my notes that we needed to sort of follow up with Katie on this after, the water sewer presentation.
Maybe we put this at like a B or C.
Yeah, I don't see this as being. Right.
I agree.
And I guess just as a note, I would think this would come out of water retained earnings versus free cash, not that it's.
Money wouldn't be so hard to come by, but.
All right, yeah, I think we should follow up with Katie on that. That's what I had in my notes from our last meeting.
Building on Lake Shore was a total roof replacement all the way down to the plywood, 40 years old, but it can be pushed off to FY 28, 29.
Okay. Anything else on the Lake Shore building? All right, the police fleet. So I think this is the two Tahoes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yes,
Two Tahoes.
I imagine it's gonna be an A.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the normal course of fleet management for the police.
Yeah, I had them at 80,000 per. You went 60.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know how we
thought,
got to 186.
yeah, I thought because they were only gonna do two.
They're getting the high country trim. I don't know. We'll see.
Gee, yeah, because I don't have my notes with me. But I do remember there was only gonna be two this year. In fact, we commented about them being thoughtful about that and not just doing three, but doing two. That was, I think,
Cruisers times two, Tahoes, V8s, 5.3 liters, 80,000 per. How we get to 186 out of instead of 160, I don't know.
Maybe they have to do special modifications to the.
Yeah, there's usually,
yeah, there are some.
there's definitely, just correct.
That said, if we get the numbers right, that's a.
I
Priority
sent
date.
notes on this when it would have been back in November. Oh, I just took my notes that I sent to
November
you guys and I
19th.
made a meeting notes.
Yeah, so fleet cars, replace two Tahoes. Normally they push three cars, yeah, let me see. Let me clear it up real quick.
That's interesting. They're not with fire staff and stuff.
And so all additional equipment up to 93.
Oh, there you go. Additional equipment up to 93.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, this is the
Yeah.
budget. Yeah, so the vehicles are 60-ish. And then 32 for,
specialized.
Yeah.
So that's the right number.
Yeah.
All right.
um. Yeah, the one thing I just want to get a little more of a definitive answer from is, and the chief does a good job of picking the two worst cars out of the fleet. And then we try to find homes for them
Right.
somewhere else in the organization and find, either scrap to or trade to. I just want to make sure that cascading of events is a little more, we have a better answer.
We want a little more transparency on that?
Yeah.
So you want me to ask about that?
I don't think that's a Mike question. I
I
think
think it's more of a Mary.
that's a
question.
Mary and Ray question.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, and then Jaws of Life, which was Rob's number 3.
Did he say that he could push it down? Did you check my notes?
Yeah.
Beth, I had a question, whether they have them now.
Yes.
Have Jaws of Life and do
Yes.
they work? Because I could delay this a year without it.
Yeah, Chief did
Right.
mention that this request could be moved to 28.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what I
gonna,
thought.
he's gonna pull the request.
I thought he was
Within the
gonna,
original, it says that I'm gonna pull it.
yeah,
I think that's.
I don't have any detail on that, but he's
Yeah.
gonna put it forward.
I think he could delay it a year is what I remember.
Yeah.
So I think we could, I'm gonna put a line through it.
Yeah. Fire engine, 1.2 million, that we're not gonna get for 5 years.
Yeah, what's the point of the 100 versus the 110 bar?
I think if I remember correctly, we have
Like
to,
do a deposit.
we don't have to do a deposit until the frame is built. And it's something like 70 or 80, maybe $100,000. So that 100 grand wouldn't be spent until, I guess, the frame is built, which probably might not be for 2 years.
So it's available though in case.
Yeah, I
So
think,
I think it's just to keep us from having to pay interest on that 100 grand for the deposit.
yeah, I think we have to hit the factor.
I mean, that's their number one priority.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna note, yeah, I think that's gonna be an A.
yeah, and I mean, for the rest of it, I agree. We're gonna have to debt finance it.
Yeah.
All right, staffing study. $44,000.
The reaction to that is we ought to do staffing studies for all the departments.
Well, the thing about it that I think the chief has done a lot of work providing us with a lot of statistics about staffing studies, and he's understaffed.
Yeah.
But I almost would rather have him take $44,000 and use it toward half of an FTE.
Yeah.
But
I understand the sentiment.
it's.
I mean, this was
it's
when
not
we
gonna
had extensive talk about using Bridgewater State.
Yeah.
Potential other places to do it.
Yeah,
And I think he was interested in looking into that. Karen, you were
Yeah.
providing with more information on that, right?
yeah,
I
she
did.
got, yeah, a bunch of stuff over to him.
I think we can make this a B or C for right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean,
E?
I don't think it's gonna sway anyone's opinion.
Right.
All right, all right, lands and natural, truck 22.
Four-door dump truck used daily for mowing and plowing. It's a 2017, it's in good to fair condition. That was his number one priority. And that kind of like led me to think that if your number one priority is in good to fair condition, you really don't have big problems this year.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think anybody's.
Yeah.
Randy or anybody's looking for money there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Truck 29.
Same thing. Chevy 1500 driven by the manager of the buildings and grounds has only 48,000 miles on it, not urgent.
All right, town pier, structural analysis, 27 grand.
I'd put that in an A.
Just as a side note, I would assume that would be waterways improvement funding source.
Yeah. Yep.
So it originally came in at $60,000 and then you got a second quote at the 27K number. It's significant difference.
Yeah.
Kia was built in 1991.
Wow.
safe boat.
Yeah, matching grant for the repowering the safe boat. Again, would be waterways improvement.
That's an A.
Any other questions, comments concerning on the harbor master?
I have it as an A.
Okay. All right, moving on to schools, laptops. So I've asked Mike for a similar analysis that he did for the towns of, what are all these endpoints? How old are they? And haven't gotten anything yet. So from a, I don't know, due diligence standpoint on my end, I'm still trying to understand this request, is my opinion.
So we're still on hold.
I think so.
Yep.
They just have a few requests.
All right, the next one is the sort of unanticipated major repair.
What is that? I don't remember that line at all.
I don't, so, I mean, I guess here's the thing, the school took this list and further pared it down when they presented to us.
Oh, that's right, we did.
There was only, if I remember correctly, 5 items on their list, and then we spent the majority of the time talking through
Feasibility
the
study.
feasibility study, for sure.
I don't remember this being on the list. Maybe we can cross this off.
I think it's one of those things they're trying to build a fund for Katie to be able to do things that come up. And not pull from maintenance in the school operating budget. Let me just pull up this.
This comes up in the HVAC arena as well. So I'm wondering if Katie couldn't present a single sort of annual view of those kinds of maintenance repair issues on the machinery that comes down, because that's what it looks like she's looking for. Some of the original ones had like 30,000 in 4 different places, so.
Mhm. Yeah,
And she may need that kind of a fund in order to be able to do things, but I don't know how you size it and make a town meeting commitment to it.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, there needs to be a clearer delineation between preventative maintenance type stuff and having a fund for that. Than just a bucket of unanticipated things that come up because we didn't do the right preventative maintenance.
Well, she did not prioritize these items, by the way.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of them here that are not prioritized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say there's so many school requests, we should probably focus on the ones that, Randy thinks that at least are priorities.
Well, so the ones that the school presented just to us, I mean, the first one was the feasibility study, the 1.7.
Yeah.
Which is down on line 96. That we need to know.
Right.
Then their laptop replacement, which we already talked about.
Yeah, laptop replacement. The Chandler exhaust fans.
Then I heard even before that, I think that the third one I saw was the roof repair on the pack.
Yes, yeah,
When
There's
it comes to the Chandler exhaust fans, that's also second priority for facilities. And that's the 42 of the 60 units that aren't running over at Chandler for 60K. That is highlighted. So that is Katie's second request out of everything
I get
in
that
that
as a-
schools.
I think that's an A.
I think that was an A. They were pretty clear on that.
It was an A for me as well.
yeah.
But this roof repair for 270,000, I don't see that anywhere right now.
Well,
So that's the next
there it
line
is. There it
down,
is.
which doesn't have any funding next to
Another
it,
one, huh?
which shocked me.
Yeah,
It made me totally uninformed because I eliminated all the rows that had no funding request for 27. Made it much shorter sheet list.
So, I mean, for me, that's a question.
I wanna keep that one still alive for now.
Yeah, I would think so too. I mean, this is, if I remember correctly, this is year 4. Or we maybe just finished year 4 of that roof replacement.
It's definitely being done in sections, I know that.
Yeah, for sure. So we should follow up with or try to understand Rainey and Mary's rationale on that. I don't know if it's just a we ran out of money type thing, but
In the request on column C, what are these initials, key R and A B stand for?
those are the sections. So
Right.
if there is a study or a evaluation document that correlates to those roof sections. So this 270 would replace section P, section R, and section AB.
Yeah, so like we said, there's been ongoing there already.
Yeah,
Why is that getting pushed out?
right. Right.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so that's a question, I think, for Mary and Brady. All right, feasibility study. it looks like Mary and Rainey are recommending 1.4 million, having a separate article for it.
Is that because, did they find $300,000 in the operating budget? I thought Mrs. Lisa told us that.
So yes,
Yeah.
the schools thought they could find 300,000. Find. So.
Okay.
I would assume that's what that
So this
difference
would
is.
just be a separate article.
Yeah, and I guess knowing what 40% of what we spend would be reimbursable from. But you know, I know that the school wanted to try to get this funded in Article 6.
Because they, yeah, well, I don't think it can be. Just like the fire truck. Now we're spending $700,000 on computers.
I personally like having this as a separate article because I think it draws attention to it at town meeting because this is the first baby step of $100 million.
Whole town is gonna be interested in this, but this is
Yes.
hard to bury in
You
6.
can't bury it in cents.
No.
Correct. You know, I also think they're
This is the best way for the town to manage this.
I agree.
That's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think there's an opportunity for us to think through, do we want to maybe reapply for Chandler and Alden? Because right now,
Out to do a joint.
Yeah.
In that location.
but you know, I don't want,
Is that something the school committee is thinking about?
I think those conversations are starting. Because like what happened when we did the high school and the middle school was there were 2 applications put in, one for the middle school and one for the high school. And because we did it together like that, we were then able to combine those. Because there's only an application for Alden, we can't consider anything with including grades K through 2.
Well, I'm glad to hear that people are thinking about it.
So.
That makes sense.
All right. That's any other thing on the feasibility study?
No.
Schools sort of deprioritize the curriculum. They didn't even present us with the roof, the 50 grand for the district-wide roof repairs.
Well, yeah, I think that's under 150 right now.
Oh, sorry.
so bump it
the
from
wrong
50
line.
to
Oh,
150.
painting, sorry.
Mike, I'm wondering if the PAC roof repair might now be a part of that 150.
Right.
So instead of doing like maybe doing P, R, and AB, they're looking at some section, some smaller piece of that.
Yeah. And I do remember part of the conversation with Katie, I think was the original study is probably 4 years old now, and they have had additional aerial scans as well as additional deterioration. So they have been moving, jumping around from what the original plan was. So maybe there is.
Well, I think this whole concept of having this, it looks to me like they want a recurring. It's not just this year, but next,
Yeah,
and next,
50.
Yeah.
that they kind of want this to be a standard item to do roof repairs, because there's gonna be a lot of it, but
Yeah.
that said, I think we need to get a better explanation as
Yeah.
to what's going on between, you know, defunding the 270 for PAC, 3 sections, to wanting 150 for something that's listed as 50 a year.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to 150, what are you talking about? Where are you repairing that?
If I
We knew about one area, but
What, yeah, if I had to imagine, I think they're looking for flexibility as things come up,
And
which.
you know, if there's the last recorded conversation.
That would be my guess.
But they already have autonomy.
Well, except for,
I understand,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it looks like they were looking for autonomy here too.
yes, exactly, yes. Yeah, totally fair. Um,
So we're just gonna put a hold then on line 102.
yeah, I think we just, we'll follow up with Barry and Rainey and try to understand.
Yep.
Their rationale.
And obviously, they've thought about something that doesn't show up here in the paper or
Right.
these conversations.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Might be a good plan.
Yeah. And then obviously at the bottom of the schedule, Mary laid in the 145 for the year 3 of the Chromebooks.
Are we gonna talk about any of the other, I guess, what about the fuel depot?
So that's next. Fuel Depot's the next thing.
Can I jump in for a sec? Did we go past am I too far ahead? Did we go past the school district HVAC upgrade replacement at 50K a year?
So, we, the schools didn't present that in their prioritized capital request to us. So those,
The reason I'm bringing up is because that's a Katie thing from the last couple of years,
Yeah.
saying, can we get on to some type of a regular installment here to go through it? And I know she wants to do it town-wide, but that is something that's just general maintenance that I wonder if we shouldn't put into a category to revisit.
yeah, I think we need a little more clarity. Because part of me wants to understand Katie's operating budget and the school's operating budget dedicated to facilities on um how many preventative maintenance tickets are we not able to get to in a year? And would something like this allow us to go to a third party and get those PMs done in a timely manner? I do think we then have to have sort of a philosophical conversation of like, is that a capital funded or should that be operating?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm certainly willing to, I think for that one have some like follow up. Um, um, either Kate, I think Katie's probably the best person, and Mary and Rainey. Does that make sense, Karen?
Yeah, it does.
Um, sorry, the other one we sort of jumped over to was the Alden generators for 600,000, which was not a priority, and I don't remember us even sort of talking through it.
No.
So. All right, is everyone good moving on to the fuel depot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
875 for a fuel depot.
Alex, did you ever get any feedback after our meeting and the conversation regarding some of those kind of pointed questions that you asked about having that kind of a tank, and was any follow-up given to you on that?
So I had a follow-up conversation with Rainey, with a promise of getting a group together to talk about alternative solutions to dealing with fuel in town. And that's as far as we've gotten.
Yeah, I suspect that that's not, it is relevant because this is a big outlaw. But I'm sure they don't want to deal with that this year. And here's the problem, they don't want to deal with that question this year. They want to probably move it off to more of a study. But they want close to $1 million to fix the problem now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, which means if this goes in, that's never gonna happen.
Correct.
And actually, there's no reason for that to happen.
Right.
We're committed.
Right.
So it's
Right.
commit to a very important project.
Yep.
Or commit to, no, we need to study this more about alternative ways of approaching the problem. And I think they're trying to say they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You made some valid points as to why we should.
Yeah.
But. So to me, this remains a priority, but doesn't mean it remains a priority that we vote for it necessarily. It depends on how much pushback we want to encourage them to say, one more year, let's look at alternatives first before we commit to this.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go with that, except those are the choices to make.
Yeah, and I think in all fairness, we're coming off the holidays and, maybe there's a plan to get people together and talk through,
Maybe,
so.
probably.
Well, it is a matter of prioritization.
It is
Yeah.
not, yes,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money to go somewhere else if we decide to study it for a year.
Right.
We said tonight we're just identifying these.
Yeah, and things we need to follow up on,
I think
and
that's-
so,
that's
in my mind, that's something I
That's a
think we need to
follow-up.
follow up.
That's a follow-up.
All right, anyone have any other thoughts or comments on that?
No.
All right, DPW. Culvert and bridge infrastructure upgrades. So it looks like.
Where are you seeing that? I'm sorry.
So this is.
Oh, I, sorry.
117.
107, line 107.
Yeah.
Got it.
112.
Yeah.
Well, I would combine the two projects together. I mean, how different are drainage improvements in culvert and bridge assessment? Well, maybe they know what they're doing in terms of improvements for drainage, but they don't know what they're gonna do in terms of culvert and bridge.
Well, there's two items here on the line 112. It's the asset management plan for $100,000.
But isn't the management plan to come in, to hire somebody to come in and do an assessment and report back on what needs to be done? And the other requests are all doing the physical work?
That's my understanding, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know personally for me, I know it's number 2 for her, but I don't think at this juncture putting 100,000 towards paying an outside company to come in to do that assessment is something we should do. I think the 100,000 should be allocated to actually doing the sidewalk and drainage improvements.
Well, sticking on the culvert and bridge, her the actual do the work, the 350,000 project total is a sub priority versus the study of two, and that makes sense. You should do the study before you do the work. But you're moving right along to something else.
Well, I have the sidewalk as number one in this group, personally, because we've already done the surveying work, we've already done the preliminary planning for it, we've done half of the sidewalks already. It's a contractor we know. Maybe, I mean, it could be delayed in there if we wanted to. The culvert, the bridge assessment. The thing that bothers me about that is, how bad can the bridges and the culverts be? I know that's what this is supposed to answer.
Yeah.
How much of that, especially on the bridge side, is attainable and already done by DOT?
I put repairing the PowerPoint bridges a C in my book. If you want me to talk about it, I'll set up a separate meeting.
No, Frank, I'm not far away from you on that one. I think this, you're right, it's accessible to go down, but this whole bridge thing is crazy. But there were like, I live on Bay Road, and there's like at least 3 culverts that Bay Road goes over where
It's letting
the
go.
ocean drains through to the Island Creek side, the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And how long do those last? I mean, we know we have to repair bridges every now and then, but culverts a bridge of sort.
Well, I put it as a 2, saying, yeah, it's definitely, I think the ones need to be the things we do.
Yeah.
Do we have to do this? A good manager would do this, but after they take care of the other stuff. If they didn't have the money. That's sort of my thinking about all these projects, except for I had the road preservation and paving as a 1, as an A also. So that the sidewalks were an A in my mind, and the other were B's. But
And was the paving a more aggressive schedule because it went above and beyond what she was going to get in Chapter 94 paving already?
That was my take on it. It was the road preservation and paving was above chapter 90 and there were some things. I don't know if beautification is the right term, but she had ideas, especially on like St. George Street. I know was one of the things she mentioned, and there was a couple of streets where it was in my mind it sounded a little more
More than what's really needed.
to drive.
Right, more than what was really needed.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say about, it wasn't at Sheila's presentation, but the fact that she's laying out like an annual maintenance budget is encouraging, because we've been asking for that. So at least she's attempting
Right.
to do that.
Yeah.
Like Katie is attempting to do
Yeah.
that, because we've been asking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that, it's really hard these are really big numbers. It's really hard to. All we know is we can't do all.
Right.
her notes say proposed funding would be used in conjunction with chapter 90 to improve the town roadway infrastructure.
That could be a B after we figure out what we actually have for money, because she'll have chapter 90 money to do her paving. And if we have the additional money at 75, then it can move from B to A.
Yeah, the original sheet that you handed out. I'll make a quick comment on this. Sidewalk improvements, I will always vote for those as the lowest priority of anything in this town. It always has been historically. Now, all of a sudden, we're prioritizing certain neighborhoods and roads to get sidewalks. And that's gonna be a hot potato. Unless we do them all, we're never gonna do them all. So where are we going here? Why are we putting some sidewalks in and some we're not? Unless it's like near the school, that makes sense. If the kids are required to walk to the school. I don't know if is anybody required to walk to school in this town anymore? I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a, 1.5 mile thing. Because if you were a mile and a half away, you walked to school. If you were more than a mile and a half, you got a bus. That's a long time ago, like granted.
If I remember correctly, I think the buses won't pick you up if you're within a mile.
You can pay for it if you want to.
So
Yeah,
it's still-
buses are cost money.
Yeah.
No
So
matter
if that's
where
the case, and you have kids that have to walk to school, I want sidewalks for the kids.
Right.
Other than that, I don't want any sidewalks this time. And this whole thing in Washington Street, to me, is insane. Why? And then
Maybe
people
that's
crossing from one side of the street to the other to get to a sidewalk, that's more dangerous than having no sidewalks.
Vinny, you're rational.
Well, how we started going down this way. To me, it's, but. So that's, I just think,
The image of Bay Road with sidewalks on it bothers me, so I agree with you on Bay Road.
well, Bay Road came up with a creative way, somebody did, of having one fat lane on
Yeah,
one side of the
For
road.
bicycles and walking.
But that doesn't stop everyone from using the other side of the road too, in a black outfit, going against the setting sun to the west. And you were invisible.
Yeah, sometimes it's right down the
It's
road.
unbelievable how people will insist on being on the non-water side of Bay Road to jog at 6 o'clock at night in the winter. And, or even worse, if they're doing it at 4 o'clock at night when the sun is right to rise and you can't see anything driving out there.
I would think drainage improvement would trump sidewalk also, just in terms of prudent maintenance.
Yeah. Improper drainage
Yeah, and-
shortens the shelf life of everything else.
yeah, Sheila has that as a higher priority.
Yes, she does. But right now, it looks like the only thing that Randy is looking at is the bridge repairs.
But, so are we,
I
Yeah.
guess that's why I'm suggesting those two be in a B category, just because it is maintenance, and although maybe Rainey isn't seeing it that way, once we get our number, we may not be able to afford to put it into the A column, but they do seem like legitimate needs.
Yeah, and they're annuals. She's trying to get annuals established here.
right,
And one of our big arguments all along has been we don't maintain.
Yeah.
Period. Maybe. So I agree with that. I'd like to see the drainage at least go to a B. The sidewalk improvements go to an F. And
I'm sure you meant to say
we
C.
probably can't do anything other than the bridge, ongoing bridge repairs. We don't want with that, be able to keep our ability to have the state take care of this problem for us.
I would guess my 2 cents is I would struggle not supporting the 300,000 for the bridge, given that we just voted to increase all the beach fees.
Wait a minute now. Well, we've talked about this. There are other ways of getting to the
There is
beach.
certainly an alternative way to get to the
There's
beach.
there's a non-bridge way of getting to the beach.
Absolutely agree with that.
I'm sure our friends at Great Harbor love the travel.
It would probably be cheaper for us to give a stipend to everybody who buys a beach pass of gasoline allowance for the extra travel that they would be required to not use the bridge.
Not big SUVs.
No, you don't get a stipend based upon your vehicle.
Yeah.
You get on a flat dollar amount. You could be driving a Wrangler or it could be a bigger car.
Maybe the people on Powder Point would love it, because people didn't drive down Powder Point all the time,
1,000%.
right? So, but, okay, that's, we're not gonna solve that tonight. All right,
All right, highway department.
we can start with Norm's number 1, which was truck number 26.
Yep. Number 26.
Does anyone recall what 26 was that a large one or is that an admin?
It's a pickup truck.
It's a
Used for
truck. It's
plowing.
a $72,000, so definitely talking about a pickup.
Yeah,
105,000 miles in the existing, and it is used for plowing.
yeah.
It was both Sheila's and Norm's number 1.
So at 105, is it costing a fortune in repairs just because of the car itself? I mean, the truck itself?
I don't have any notes on repairs on that one.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to,
And-
there you go.
105 is not like obscene amount of mileage these days.
It's not, except those, and none of that's gonna be highway miles, it's all gonna be local miles, and that's a lot of local miles.
Yeah, it doesn't account for any of the sort of idle time, which
And
is,
especially if you throw a plow in that pickup. That probably is sucking the life out of it too. Yeah, like I said, I really don't have more on that, other than the fact that it was both Norm's and Sheila's number 1. For that department. Which then,
all right, the additional note in ClearGov is we just had to replace rotted cab mounts.
So the car's rotting.
They said when they originally put the request in, it had 90,000 miles on it and it was in fair condition. More recent note is it's now 105 and they just put, the cab mounts, new cab mounts.
my sense of things is this, like the land and natural resources request. There is nothing urgent. in This department that has to be addressed.
That's not a take-home vehicle, right?
I don't know.
I don't think so, wasn't mentioned.
Um, I think this 60 grand would be Sheila's new car, the Traverse. If I remember correctly. Truck 20.
Chevy Traverse, existing truck is a 2018 with 117,000 miles on it. I didn't get the use of it. in My notes.
I don't know, B or C until we see what we have. I don't know. The big one is, it's all for naught. What's up with the dump truck? 415,000.
It's expensive, used for plowing.
Did they give a condition report?
And I think it might be included, although I did not take notes of it. It was Norm's number 5,
Yeah.
so
It might be, they're pretty good about giving us heads up on big items, so it might be on the list. Just so it can be on the list.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I have it as a 2, but because of all the uncertainties. Trucks in fair condition this summer is. We're
Fair?
putting in for Traverse, not a pickup. I don't know what Traverse means.
A Traverse, a Chevy Traverse, it's not, that's a.
more about like a SUV kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're not gonna worry about the dump truck.
Chevrolet.
I'm just going to request manager, see if I can.
Give us a total of it.
Yeah, the quote doesn't have a total on it, I can see.
She didn't total up the column A, B for us. She-
All right, so truck 15. The $415,000. It's a 2014 Mack truck with a plow and sander that is on major plow route for snow and ice operations. Trucker's in fair condition, but 10 years old now. I think this is a resubmit from last year, if I remember. Does have electrical problems, plus getting some rust from salt. We are now replacing the oil pan with salt corrosion. Would like to update this truck. It's getting older and will require more maintenance. The 10 wheels are a big part of the snow and plow sand operations. It's got 45,000 miles on it.
kind of request to me that fits into if we had a rational vehicle replacement plan within that department, it would probably do. And, if we had unlimited money, we pay for it. We need it. Yeah, but I think, Sheila is moving that whole department into a rational plan of replacement.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah. That's these 3. Truck. well, fair condition to have some rest under the body. Uh, They are in the process of resubmitting, so this doesn't have a lot of detail.
So we're gonna maybe be a C.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Flip the page.
All right.
We still have a good amount to go.
We did the water rent trust fund money. A little more.
Yeah, it's only everything above the blue line. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then I think that these are the department totals, which if I'm reading this right, if you go to line 180, is the AB column $7 million? That's,
Are you looking at?
It could be close. So if you go to the last page of Mary's spreadsheet. Column one, row 180. Column AB, there's a 7,4,332, 799.
I come up with 6 million just by rounding up easily.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, there's. Yeah, the $2 million for the cemetery and 1.6 for the
like,
PFAS.
but the cemetery, isn't that get funded?
Lots of grants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like not, I mean, it's a, yeah, we gotta put it in.
Yeah.
But it has its own funding source.
Yeah, and I would imagine. All right, so that's 3.6 right there, plus 875 for the fuel depot. I just don't know if that. I think we have to include the fire engine and the.
Well, we need to have a follow Marion funding sources.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Because when I look at items like.
Well, these are
$2 million to the west. The west end expansion. They're not talking about that being out of our six, like, not under free cash.
Not in free cash, but it would be like, there'll be remember, there's gonna be a total, and then it's gonna be funding sources.
Exactly.
Right, and that won't come out of free cash. I'm not sure why.
That's not gonna come out.
Well, that's where I was,
$2 million.
what does this add up to? I'm like, 7 million.
Yeah,
Based upon what I heard at that presentation. If I know I'm kind of jumping ahead here to look at that $2 million, but. I don't want to put a penny of the 6 million towards that. That's like. $8. Well, I mean, they don't need it. They don't need it.
Right, oh, because they're not gonna use,
They don't need it for like another 10 years.
then why would it be here?
Because they've done, they need it eventually. And that's what I get. I don't know. You guys are.
sorry.
The expansion of the cemetery,
Oh,
it's not a critical need today. But tomorrow.
yeah,
Do you think they're just trying to block the fund? They want to get it appropriated? And they have the.
I don't think they want to
offsetting
lose another hunk to another part of the town. Like maybe a new Walden school.
funds.
They don't want, well, I mean, seriously, they lost a big hunk of their expansion to the senior center where we are now.
Yeah.
And they don't want that to happen again, so I think they want to earmark it.
The problem I have with all of that is that. At the point where the cemetery expansion is done and filled up, what do you do next?
They talked about.
Tear
that.
down the senior center?
It's an issue, it's an
I
issue.
mean, the notion that there's a limitation to what you can do is in my mind, and why can't that limitation be 4 acres smaller? or something like that. I mean, that's where my head.
And then they got into this whole legal requirement that you have to have a certain amount of space based upon the population of the town. I never heard that before, but I assume that's true.
Yeah, that was true.
And it's like, we were asking questions, how do you come up with that? And that was pretty vague on the answers. It was like, well, trust us.
Right.
I don't distrust them, it's just be good to know.
Okay, I got us out of order, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back.
All right, transfer station, $500,000 compactor.
Honestly, this one here, they don't seem to be concerned about everything I've heard. I'm concerned about this one. That breaks tomorrow, and what I asked them, what's plan B? Well, you bring in a lot of trucks.
Yeah, the truck.
Or in pit.
You gotta bring, well, you can't, you gotta bring in a lot of trucks and bring it somewhere that they can take care of it. And, I can just picture the mass confusion at the existing transfer station. That's what I brought up the whole idea of, other options than having a transfer station. But this comes down along. But if that breaks, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And when I hear that it's 1960 original parts and nobody makes anything for it ever again. So like, what are you gonna do? You can't
Oh my God,
repair this.
I don't think that transfer station was built in 1960 because we used to have the dump, which I remember quite well.
That's before my time.
And,
40.
Sometimes cars got stuck.
Where was the dump, like what?
right
So you know
where
what's-
the transfer station.
Yeah, you know where the solar field is in the back?
Yeah,
Used to like back your
you
car.
literally backed your car and it was a big mound of trash.
So what do they do though? Cause there's no mound there anymore. Did they haul most of that
They
away?
hauled it out, it just said, some of it just said.
It settles, right?
Then they have
And
to
they catch it.
Trash bags?
Well, I don't know if we used plastic trash bags back then. I grew up in town. My dad grew up in town. So, we've been in town for a long time. I don't know if there was as much plastic back then.
Back in those days, maybe people had, tin trash cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old trash.
You took your trash and you
On
just
the whole
dumped it
metal
out.
trash can, yeah,
Yeah,
did it in the
you
pit.
dumped it in the pit. You rode in the back of the truck. You held the trash cans, started driving it to the dump. That's what we used to do.
One of the main jobs for people to work at a dump was to shoot the rats and the seagulls that were constantly there eating all this stuff.
There were definitely a lot of seagulls. I'm sure there were rats, but I didn't.
You saw the seagull, but the rats
Yeah,
were.
Yeah, the rats, I'm sure they were there.
Last summer I lost one of my trash barrels it fell in, I was pushing it and the whole thing fell in, and I'm like, it's gone.
Bye.
That's recovered.
So there was another dump too, which is the McNeil dump that I think we'll get to later. So behind the fire station,
Yeah, I knew that we were really.
Heritage Lane was backed up to the old McNeil dump.
Did that predate the town dump?
I think so,
Yes,
yeah.
I think they were same vintage.
same.
So how does a
I
private,
don't remember
That's
going,
a
I don't
private
remember
dump.
going to
Well, it was a
that.
private dump.
Oh,
how does a private dump work? Did you have to pay the owner of the dump something?
It-
Dumps?
right.
Yes, I think they had their own contracts with. Yeah, whoever,
Could be whoever, doesn't have to be even a resident,
Nope.
but anyway, right?
anyone.
So the compactor they're trying to replace is the one that's built into the center building. right?
Yes.
That raises, should we go up to 20,000 feet and ask the question, well, what do we do with the building? Should we replace the building? Is there new technology that could be used, or is there? I'm trying to get a little bit more higher level view of all of this.
Yeah, I asked that question. I said, what is plan B if that breaks?
Yeah.
The plan B was you're gonna use a lot of trucks. Yeah.
So I just reviewed chapter 114 of the Massachusetts General Laws, which is the requirements for towns to have cemeteries. And it basically says, yeah, a town is required to have a cemetery, but there's no rule.
Yeah.
The suitable standard, what is considered suitable is generally left to the discretion of the town's Board of Cemetery Commissioners or the Board of Health, neither of which own the property. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
how does that work? It also says in here, you can bury somebody in your own yard with Board of Health approval.
Good enough.
Oh, that's great. Great.
Well, that's what we'll do if we
This
run out of.
discretion. It's just right.
You have to disclose that to the next one we go in.
Yeah.
What the guy in class is trying to do.
Hey, that's Walsh with an E, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm from Cohasset, so that was a big story.
Yeah.
Parents loved it.
All right, well, they don't want they don't want to build a new compactor anyway.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? We got the plant generator,
Or trash, or the trash trailer.
trash trail. Which is might not pass inspection
Yeah.
when I get done.
Is that a trailer that's taking the compacted blue bags off site and it might not pass inspection?
Might not be roadworthy. Yes, you heard that correctly.
So maybe we should put that as a priority. It was number 2, right? Norm is a pretty reasonable guy.
Yeah, I have the trailer as a 2. And have a question mark for the compactor.
If you go, talk about safety, these are town employees driving vehicles that are being cited as not roadworthy. That sounds not,
Like a liability issue?
Yeah, agreed.
Um.
Is that a 2, maybe a?
as an A/B.
Yeah.
B.
A/B.
All right, on to the sewer department, $75,000 for the generator.
Says, is that something that they're already, they just need an additional 75?
That was I'm just trying to, that was my recollection.
This was the high school, one so that it wouldn't be able to be run while the power's out elsewhere.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, so that's probably pretty important.
I like that as a one.
they would run not the back, the steel.
Yeah.
Shelter, that's it.
Yeah. So remember when the power went out and they didn't run?
Yes. All right, the next one is, Bay Road sewer upgrades. If I remember correctly, these are the T-stems that haven't been serviced in a while.
They want to do this for a couple of years, so.
Yeah.
What happens when these valves fail? Does the sewer back up?
I think so.
Well, I think if I remember the conversation correctly, they're open, so I think the issue is if there was a problem, they couldn't shut off a particular house inlet to do repairs. That was my recollection.
Well, number 1 priority, he's asking for $200,000 a year for maintenance.
Yeah.
And they're allocating a quarter of that.
Yes.
They may have some logic as to why that's. Why they're doing that.
Should we put a hold on that? I mean, again, it's sort of the whole thing about trying to preach proper maintenance and
Yeah.
we're asking people to do that and
Yeah. Yeah, I do struggle philosophically with, is that capital or is that?
I agreed. But.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did nothing for a long time and look where we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so, backhoe,
Um. Yeah. Yeah, backhoe, underwater.
And this is all coming out of their funds, correct?
I think they've got close to $2.4 million in the yellow highlighted items, and I think I heard that they might have 2.7 as the certified retained earnings in
Yeah.
water.
Yeah,
So they're being a little conservative. It looks like they probably could do a little bit more if they had to.
yeah,
Certainly not any of the ticket items that they were ignoring, 125, 260, those are too big. Not to mention 43 million. So I think kind of looks like they're prioritizing virtually everything that water wants that they can afford to do.
yeah.
Question would be, do we think they would soar up to 40,000 is more important than something else they have on here? Because every other ticket item is pretty big. I can't disagree with these.
Yeah, and. Trevor, when did water rates go up? Was it, when was the first bill? Was it?
Which quarter we're doing?
yeah. This summer.
Summer.
This summer.
So we haven't even had a full year of water rates yet. Yeah. I think one thing I struggle with a little bit is the PFAS treatment. I understand it's the water we are drinking. But we're not the only community dealing with PFAS. And I mean, you look at, that 1.6 leads to a $43 million PFAS plant that covers 2 wells. The technology is new. It's, I don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things we want to wait and.
I'm hearing PFAS, getting it out of your town's water is a significant piece, but not the only piece of your PFAS intake. It's everywhere.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Literally every.
It's what you're buying in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Got PFAS.
Probably drinking out of this thing is.
Yes.
So
Everywhere.
But that,
that's a no-win. It's like,
Yeah.
it's gonna have to do what we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but it's.
One of the things, you don't want to be the leader in the state.
Well, so I'm saying, do we want to be in the bleeding edge of?
No,
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 no.
no.
You definitely don't want to be, because the technology is gonna change over time.
Now.
But isn't it true that some communities are worse than others? And Duxbury is one that has got a higher level of PFAS than others. So would we really be the leader in the Commonwealth or the area by going down this road of treatment?
You compare us to the the Boston Water District, one of the Massachusetts, whatever, coming out of Quabbin. Yeah, they're gonna have less PFAS. It's coming out of Their problem is, you still got leaching in from the towns that they buried to make the water. And they're slowly disintegrating and leading into the water. That's such a massive amount of water. Versus what you're pumping out of the ground. That you're pumping out of the ground is gonna have more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're probably gonna be a little higher than the average, I bet. But a lot of communities in the state that are gonna have to deal with this one, and I just don't think. Given the technology being relatively new, you wanna be a leader here.
Right.
Look at what Mark has as his priority on that 1.6 million.
Low. PFAS is low in this book.
Well, except for the treatment plant is
That's the design.
number 2. The 43 million for next year is number 2.
Yeah, it's not making a lot of sense, is it?
And the other thing too is, it not included in here is $6 million to cap the McNeil dump. Which is what they're saying is one of the leading contributors of PFAS, so.
Yes. Well, it's called PFAS treatment design. I don't remember, is it also feasibility study? Hopefully it's both treatment design and feasibility. Because if it's feasibility, that helps to address some of my concerns.
I thought the monies last year were some of the feasibility.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
that
we
they
need Candace.
combine monies from 2 overlapping years to do the big picture study and do all the testing of the grounds and seeing what was bad and where was it bad, et cetera.
Yeah, 'cause I think the feasibility aspect was which wells would we want to put PFAS filtration on? Or put PFAS mitigation on versus,
Yeah, and this was the design of those filters.
and we're designing that based on the current known technologies.
So is the thought right now that they're gonna do PFAS treatment at each well? Or that they're gonna pump the water to a centralized location?
I think this 43 million is, well, the 1.6. I think is the overarching design for our water. And the first 43 million is a treatment that does 2 wells.
How many that are gonna be in existence?
10 of them around the town or more.
We're gonna close a couple.
They're gonna close a couple. Right.
Closed Partridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's-
So, let's say 8.
You're talking about closing.
I think does the study contemplate, is it cheaper to build a pipe network from each well to a centralized location that treats it all?
It's probably a big project.
Okay, to start putting
I can't be
pipes
the one to
between
start.
the
Yeah.
wells, you might as well call them sewer pipes and take it to a big plant somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's something that's at least looked at and studied, because we gotta put in
that
6
42 is
PFAS
only for the
treatments
2
for
wells,
8
you think?
wells.
I think that's one PFAS treatment plant to do 2 wells.
Just 2, not the whole town.
Well, the whole town operates off of,
Three,
I don't know if they can operate off of just 2 wells.
3 or 4. Yeah, I mean, I remember there's like a high pressure side, a low pressure side of the town, and there's wells feeding certain ones. Candace is the expert.
Right.
The water used to be brown a lot, but since we moved, it has not been brown.
It's more than I want to know about.
Gosh.
Yeah, so I think to Vivian's point there, it's 2.7 in retained earnings, and they're looking to spend
2.4,
2.4?
roughly.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any of those personally. I just, once again, the West End expansion, the 2 million. If that's all coming from other sources than free cash or borrowing,
Yeah, that all comes from, sale of lots of graves.
they have that much money, huh?
There's actually, I asked, Mary about the cemetery funds and there were like 3 funds.
Yeah, there's
They-
perpetual care, there's sale of lots and graves, and I don't know what the third one would be. Those are historic, sale of lots and graves and perpetual care are historically the ones that have funded the projects we've seen.
So one question I have is is the yellow highlighted fact priority A, with only one item being moved to a separate article? Is that between free cash and other sources of income? Is Rainey and Mary comfortable with that spending level?
That's,
And then to
That's my
us, it's just,
understanding.
do we agree with those priorities?
sorry, what was that last part?
Do we agree with those priorities, or do we want to recommend
Different.
shifting in some priorities?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, okay. But we need Mary to talk.
Perpetual care, Mayflower care, and the sale of lots.
Did she give you balances by any chance, Frank?
2.2 million, what?
2.2 million
Yeah.
in all 3 combined?
And the use of the sale of lots, which is 700,000, requires town meeting approval.
But we don't have to count it as appropriate cash.
And the perpetual care is just the interest from the fund of 1.1 million.
So there was one last thing here, which is a $29,000
Cemetery. utility card.
utility card.
And that would come out of the perpetual care account, right?
I think so. I would think both of those.
I mean, I have no problem with any of those that are highlighted because of the funding source.
You mean between sewer, water, and cemetery, they're all alternative funding sources.
So that's our last one is the utility cart, right?
All right, so yeah, Mary should be able to make well, we need to figure out schedule for next meeting.
Alex, can
Um,
I jump in for one quick sec? Only because not that anybody needs to have this, but because I got my notes late, I don't think it was a priority for anybody and it might not go anywhere. But remember when we were on the Lakeshore Drive roof and it was, I think, $40,000? Two other things of consideration is that it's an OSHA violation, and it's OSHA violation due to having no roof barrier. And that's a 15-foot roof barrier that goes around that building. And that's just something to take note of because that's going to come back to us in the future when we talk about Percy Walker Pool, the Wright Building, and the police department. So that goes into why the expense is what it is on Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Sure.
All right, are people available next Wednesday? Stay
Yes.
on our normal,
I have surgery next Tuesday. And I know I came in, I know I was in the Caribbean for several weeks. Then I came back, then I'm going off to
So
surgery.
you weren't lucky enough to have your flights canceled, leave in the Caribbean?
No, I came back. So I'm on oxycodone for the next like 4 weeks.
got it. Yeah,
I can call in Zoom if I'm up for it.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What about minutes?
Yeah, we need to approve,
Well, I got a question on
Okay.
this. All right. If I calculate it right, there were about 7 pages, the last 7 minutes. And I'm
7
concerned that we're going from a 1 to 2 page standard to a 7 page standard. And it's gonna raise questions, it could raise questions as to what work we doing before that now we feel the need to quadruple the size of our minutes. And that also runs against my long-held belief that minutes should be as brief as possible. So I couldn't quibble with what's in there too much, except that there's a hell of a lot more detail than we've ever included before.
yeah, I think the quick answer, is they're all getting generated by AI.
Which to me is I understand that,
Yeah,
but it's a non-answer as to why we've gone from 2 pages to 7.
I would say the level of, I mean, there's certainly a lot of like open spaces here. Where we used to list people, like if someone came to a meeting, we'd list this way, and now it's,
So if I could say that that's like half of the,
yeah,
so now it like went from 2 to 4. There's
Yeah.
still a doubling in the size of our minutes.
yeah.
Roughly.
And I think it sort of depends on the topic of conversation. We've had some, I would say our meeting minutes have been historically pretty detailed. More detailed than I think
We need it.
required.
Well, we've talked about the idea of just referencing the original attachments from the meeting.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
Instead of reiterating them again.
Yeah.
But reiterating is always a potential problem because you might.
Yeah.
If you create a discrepancy between the handout and the minutes, a lawyer will jump all over it.
Sure.
The minutes need to reflect any decisions that are made
That's about it.
and the logic that was
The
behind
attendance.
it
The attendance.
and who was there, you know.
And anything more than that. Well, I don't know what to say about it, because I don't want, minutes are so thankless, I don't even do a draft, I'm just giving my commentary based upon, 20-something years of experience. It's, they look classy.
Um,
Maybe Andrew's not on this one, maybe we can put this, a vote on these minutes after.
Yeah. it's fine with me.
Can we do that?
Maybe Nancy could like to edit it.
Yeah.
I'd like to go through them in more detail. Even.
Yeah.
Maybe come up with some things that could be removed.
Sure. Yeah, and especially with our meetings are getting recorded and uploaded, that if people really need to dig in, they can dig in.
Yep.
So, okay. All right, so we're gonna push meeting minute approvals, on I'll set up a meeting for next Wednesday. That was the end of our scheduled agenda.
So hopefully we'll get married.
Yeah. Mary had a commitment tonight, but said she could make next Wednesday. So. All right, anything else we need to catch up on or logistics?
Not for me.
Was the certified free cash?
You don't know, you don't have it yet.
So I know the total number.
That's
Total number is 5.4 million.
okay.
Oh, that is the total?
That's the total. We just don't know how
Oh,
it's gonna get allocated.
Yeah, it's gonna be, not all gonna be out at 6.
Correct. Correct. That is for sure. All right, so I will, I'll probably circulate an email tomorrow with the group, just to make sure I have follow-up questions stated correctly, so we can
Good.
send those out.
Good.
And we can align on those, and then we'll get those to the appropriate people. I think that makes sense.
That's wonderful.
All right, motion to adjourn.
second.
So moved in second.
Perfect. All's in favor?
Bye.
All right. See you guys next week.